Can I ask something?
Sure.
Can I interrupt? I hear a lot of comments attend a lot of master classes and voice classes, coaching classes, and the argument of this getting your voice higher and is that it's for dramatic voices, for more mature voices, it's okay to feel it low,
Yes.
but you're a young singer. And you should not be doing any dramatic. That's the connection with the dramatic somehow. I don't see that connection.
Neither
but
do I.
a lot of teachers do, and they mislead, I guess.
Yes.
To my
I
opinion.
think what they're worried about is this thing, and I know because I've been down that road myself when I was younger. They're worried about the voice, particularly if it's a big voice, getting too thick and heavy in the middle. If you think too much. Here.
Yes, sure.
That's the thing. I think but that happens when the voice kind of loses the focus and drops, and when you haven't got enough support. But if you keep a good focus in the sound, then you can have this connection, this low thing. Well, in fact, it's essential, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And providing you've got the focus and then the space around it.
That's what
the
Italians
space
say,
around
chiaroscuro.
that.
It's
Yeah.
two essential things. If you have only chiaro, it's no connection. If you have only scuro, it means that your voice is all broken in without...
Woofy. Yeah.
Woofy.
That's
yes,
right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, but there's no... As I think that there's not a solution for those who have too much of the low support to take this support totally off.
No, because if you start trying to think, I must get it higher, then the larynx is lifting. It's that really uncomfortable feeling of having nothing, no connection.
Well, what it basically means is the lower support isn't working properly. Because it automatically, if you support from above, these muscles down here are automatically going to think, there's no point doing anything.
And now the danger that all great masters actually warn us, not the coaches, but all great masters, including Enrico Caruso, don't start working with a coaching maestro before you know your vocal tricks.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Because as we know, let's say, as I go to a French coach, the French coach who knows music perfectly, is a musically perfect person to work with, would insist on certain vowels, especially French. French has a very particular. I understand because the vowels make an essential difference in the language. If you say parler or parler, it's a different meaning. But we, not knowing the tricks how to do it, this very good and smart coach who knows what to do with already established voice and technically established singer will be very devastating for the ones who don't know what to do. And I want you to comment, if you like, on that too, if you don't mind.
Well, I think that's absolutely true. I once worked with one of the most eminent of the British tenors, who was a most marvellous singer. And he did say to me when I went in, because I was beginning to get a few problems, even when I was still a student. Now I realise afterwards. And he said to me, Dave, I don't think we'll work on these particular leader songs because I don't think your technique's advanced enough. And he was absolutely right. And he was a marvellous interpreter of music and he helped me a lot in that respect. He did, however, say something else. I think you should go and find someone who can help you with your vocal technique, and then you can come back and we can work on it there. And this man
was
one of the best singers Britain has ever had, but he didn't know how to teach.
But he was honest about it.
Exactly, yes. And I'm forever thankful that he said that to me, because he didn't say, do this, do that. He probably thought, I'm not that experienced in teaching people with problems because I never had the problems myself, basically. I suppose that's what he would have thought. And at least he said so, and I wish people would do that. I wish they'd say, look, I detect there's a little problem here and a little problem there. I don't think I know enough to help you with that. It's a technical thing. Find someone who can. And I think a lot of people would be very grateful if they were told that, instead of going along trying to, as they often say, very vaguely, giving completely the wrong picture of what you should actually be doing. Lighten it off. Lighten it off. Don't sing so heavily.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
Yeah.
So you immediately become inhibited, you know.
Yeah. Again, mentioning Jerome Hines, in one of his chapters, he mentions 3 types of the teachers. The ones who had a glorious career in opera or concert, and when the career is over, they're invited in the best universities in the world to teach. Obviously, they don't have any idea how to teach. They're glorious singers.
Yeah.
And this type of the teachers, one could be very potentially dangerous for students, because if they can learn how to teach, though, I mean, it's if they're open-minded, if they clearly understand that the teaching is not the same as singing, then they eventually learn within maybe a few years how to become a really great singing teachers. Not all of them, though, think that way, of course, and that is a danger, because when the celebrity, a diva comes to
I do know
university.
some very good international singers who are also good teachers, but I do have to say they tend to be in the minority.
Yeah.
Because
Yes,
they
that's-
are complete, real teachers. And do you know why with both of them? And I know them both very well. They both told me at various times that they had problems and they had to work it out for themselves. And it took quite a time to do it. Some point in the career, if just
Yeah.
gradually while they were in the career or right at the beginning. But they were aware of all these problems. And then they became great singers.
Right.
And assuming, and I think to some extent one has to be a teacher by nature. You need infinite patience.
You
to
need
be
to
a
love
teacher.
this too. You has to,
You've
know,
got to
you
have this
love
aspect.
to teach too.
Yes. You must have that
Not
aspect.
giving a favor.
No.
No.
Not just doing a favor.
no.
You know, I'm a great former divo, and you just whatever
You
I
are
say.
privileged to come to me.
Yes,
and
It's
all
you have
that.
a privilege to come
it's
to me.
working out someone
wanting-
else's
it's wanting to
problems
help,
solid
isn't it?
for an hour,
Mhm.
and that's hard work.
And so the
If you
second
don't want to do
category, he mentions, is that the one that studied very well, had the PhD degrees, but very little singing experience. Also very dangerous,
I think so.
because they basically they have a great deal of
No,
knowledge,
blind you with science.
but they don't have real understanding or real experience of how it sounds.
No.
And the third category of singers, those who been through the career, they know how to sing, and then they switch to teaching, and they have kind of a couple of problems. And I guess he's not making a clear point, but he is, I think, more is favorable of the last mentioned way. Those who had experience and they're very serious about teaching, and they learn how to. They had their own problems and they learned through them. But anyways, it's an instinctual thing. A teacher is also, to my opinion, has to instinctively understand his students' voice, try to feel it right, and about feeling right and about feeling wrong. We discussed that before in our previous. That's why we decided to make a little movie about this discussion, because I liked it so much. And we discussed about psychology of a singer. You know, how important for a teacher to give confidence to his own students, to be critical to a certain extent is absolutely necessary, but at the same time to understand and to feel to what degree the criticism can be. In my own experience, I have students who are very good and learning very well when you're not too much critical of them.
Yes.
You're just giving little hints, and that's a psychology, though.
It's a way of putting it,
Absolutely.
though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
The other students, they can take a lot of criticism without losing their confidence.
Yes.
And you also have to feel that. And with that student, I'm happier basically, because I can really be very specific. I can almost Elizabeth Schwarzkopf type of masterclass I can give, because she's very, very picky, as you know, and that works fine. But with certain students, if you start picking at certain mistakes, they lose their confidence, and then becomes a big problem.
I think the art of the teacher is not to criticise all the time. Is not to
That's
be too
flashing, by the way.
easygoing. Is not to be too easygoing. You've got to be firm and insistent. I sometimes get my pupils, for instance, they get something right, and pupils are always, once they got something right, they're impatient to get on with the rest of the aria. I say, no, let's go back. Right, do it again. And then I say, why? I say, look, you've just hit upon this by mistake almost. I tricked you almost into doing it right, and you got the sensation it was right. But that's the technique of teaching, which is true of all disciplines, not just singing. That once you've got something, go back and repeat it. Do it at least 3 times, because then you recall it easier.
Yeah. That's
I
a
do
very
criticise, but it's
very
important.
good method.
It's very important, but
Yeah.
it takes time. Then people say, oh, we've only got through 3/4 of a page. This is in an hour's lesson. That happens with me quite often. We've done 3/4 of a page.
Yeah.
I say, okay, now you apply that to the rest of the aria.